So I just got this comment, and this comment was on one of my past life skit videos. So this was on one of my past life skit videos that had both Evelyn and Lillian in there, who were my first and my second life. First and my third life. What am I saying? My first and my third life. So I am more than happy to explain this, but please keep in mind that I don't fully know everything about my past lives. I don't even know who half of them are, right? So in my first 3 past lives, we have very either straight up bad or morally gray, leaning more towards the dark people. So, first life, psycho mass murderer. Killed anyone that she thought was a bad person. Didn't matter if they were or not. If she thought they were, they died. If she just happened to catch them in a bad moment, and she assumed that they were like that for their entire lives, they died. Which is why she's called the Unjust Vengeance. My second life was an evil queen. Evil princess turned evil queen. Yes. My third life was Lillian, who again is like a psycho killer, except she had a full-on psychotic break and specifically went after men who she saw hurting or abusing or harassing women. Also killed her family. Which she has a whole, like, complicated backstory that I will get into in another TikTok. In another video. Because I don't have enough time to explain it here and with everything else. So, right, Lillian was, like, not sane when she did what she did when she killed people, and some of them she doesn't regret, but a lot of them she does. Right. And then my fourth life was Kaleha, who is the guiding spirit, who just took a full, like, 180 from the evil route to, when she was alive, she really didn't get to do anything, because she died at 16, and she was homeless for most of her life, so she did have to do, like, a couple morally gray things, like stealing to survive, right? But she tried to help out other people where she could, and she was just a very nice kid who only did what she needed to survive. And then after death, she became a spirit that helps. She goes around and she finds anyone who is tethered to Earth and tries to help them move on. Right? And then I've had a lot of... From there, the timeline gets a little shaky and I don't fully know who comes next. Like, but I've had, like, a life where I was a pirate, Aspen, right? Aspen Goldheart, who, she was like a Robin Hood type figure, where she stole from the rich, gave to the poor. I had a frickin' Mulan story where in the U.S. Revolution, the Revolutionary War against she fought, her brother was supposed to fight as a soldier, and he died out on the battlefield, and then they tried to recruit her dad, and then she was like, nuh-uh, and tried to, and then became a bull, did what Mulan did and pretended to be a man to go and fight, and she ended up dying. Right. Like, I've had a life where I was a Native American, right? Dude, very, very tragic death. Jesus Christ. I had a life where I lived in New Orleans in like the 1980s, 1990s, right? And then I killed myself. I had in my last life, I had what my last life was Sage, who is the spirit of freedom. Just a girl that lived on a farm and then disappeared into the woods. Which I will go more in depth into my lives in future videos. If there's a specific life that you want to hear more about, feel free to ask, and I might do them out of order. But yeah, that's just the trajectory that my past lives have taken, where the first 3 were like bad / morally gray, and then there was just a full like 180. But it's a whole thing with my past lives where we've been going through this cycle of rebirth because my past lives either couldn't come to terms with the fact that they had, because what their past lives did, aka the first 3 lives, did something in their own life that they couldn't come to terms with, or and just the fact that there are people, specifically the first 3 lives, who are unable to move on yet. And once you get into this cycle of being reborn, if a past life can't move on, it kind of perpetuates the cycle. Because if one life can't move on, the others can't. Or at least not fully. Because the lives are all tied together. And they're all tied to the current life. They may not always be like hovering around you or like in your head, but they're all tied to you 24/7. And for the first 3 lives, how the cycle started was because it just kept being like bad. Like they did a bunch of bad things, and so the universe was like, okay, you need to redo this and do better and learn. And then that's how the cycle started. But yeah, my goal is to help all of my past lives heal and come to terms with what they've done in their lives and what they've done in their past lives.